Have you ever thought that living alone in old age would be a peaceful time, free to do whatever you like? In reality, that's true. But not entirely, because there are things people rarely tell you in advance. You may have enjoyed independence, relished quiet mornings in your own home. But as the years go by, as close friends move away or pass on, that peacefulness begins to turn into emptiness. Emma, 74, lives alone in a small house in the suburbs of Oregon. She used to love days spent cooking for herself, reading, and not being disturbed. But since her best friend passed away and her children and grandchildren became busy with their own lives, she has started to feel as if the world is leaving her behind. Every evening, the silent kitchen and the dinner table with only one plate, small images like these, are enough to bring a lump to her throat. What's important to understand is that loneliness isn't just a feeling. Research shows that social isolation in older adults can increase the risk of heart disease, depression, and even premature death. Yet very few people are truly mentally prepared to face this. So if you're living alone, or you have an elderly loved one who is, this content is for you. Together, we'll explore the truths few people speak about when it comes to aging alone, and how to make that experience more bearable and more comforting. If you find this topic meaningful, please hit like and share it, so that those who need to hear it can find it more easily. And I would really love to hear from you. Have you ever felt lonely living alone? Or do you know someone going through it? Please leave your thoughts below. Now let's dive into the untold truths, so we can not only age well, but truly live fully. Living alone in old age can bring a sense of freedom and control, but it also comes with quiet challenges that few people talk about in advance. One of those challenges is the ability to respond to emergencies when there's no one nearby to help immediately. Have you ever asked yourself what would happen if you slipped in the bathroom or had a mild heart attack while alone at home with no one to know, no one to hear your call for help? That seemingly distant scenario is, in fact, the daily reality that millions of older adults silently face. According to the CDC, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, falls are the leading cause of serious injury among seniors, and most of these falls happen at home, the very place we assume to be safest. When you live alone, the risk doesn't just increase, it becomes far more dangerous due to the delay in being discovered and rescued. Just a few minutes' delay in calling for help after a serious fall can be the difference between quick recovery and long-term complications. Yet many people remain unaware, leaving their phones in another room when using the bathroom, or having no support devices at all while home alone. The good news is, this risk can be significantly reduced with just a few simple changes in daily habits. You don't need to feel anxious every time you enter the bathroom or go to bed if you equip yourself with the right tools to stay safe. The first solution is to keep your phone with you at all times, even when you're just stepping into the yard or bathroom. Use a neck strap, an armband, or clothing with a convenient pocket to keep your phone close. Second, medical alert devices are powerful tools. These can be worn as bracelets, necklaces, or watches, and allow you to press a button to request emergency help within seconds. Some modern models even detect falls automatically. Third, an emergency lockbox should be installed outside your home, containing a spare key and a code shared only with trusted relatives or emergency responders. If something happens, paramedics can quickly enter the house without breaking down the door. These solutions may seem simple, but they're truly life-saving. They allow older adults to remain independent while still staying safe and confident in their own homes. Being your own shield doesn't mean you're alone or helpless. It's a sign of being proactive, of loving yourself enough not to leave your safety to chance. Every preventive measure is one step toward a healthier, more empowered life. When we talk about living alone, it's not just about physical safety, but emotional safety too. Because beyond physical emergencies, loneliness is an equally quiet challenge, and we'll explore that in the next section. Not everyone enjoys being in crowds. Some people spend their entire lives relishing silence, personal space, and the freedom of solitude. But living alone in old age presents a different challenge, the challenge of loneliness, even for those who have always been introverts. Have you ever felt a whole day pass by without a single phone call, no one checking in, no laughter, or even a passing conversation? Those moments, seemingly just a little emptiness, can slowly evolve into a feeling of being left behind, of being forgotten. As we age, spontaneous social encounters become increasingly rare. Friends move away one by one, illness makes phone calls less frequent, and many loved ones eventually leave this world. A study by AARP reveals that over 35% of seniors living alone report feeling lonely often, and this affects not only emotional well-being, but also physical health. Social isolation is considered a risk factor on par with smoking, obesity, and even alcohol abuse. Prolonged loneliness can lead to depression, cognitive decline, and even increase the risk of early death. The good news is, loneliness is not something we are powerless against. Even if you live alone, you can still take active steps to build small but meaningful connections that warm the heart. One of the solutions recommended by many experts is owning a pet. Dogs, cats, or even a small bird can become loyal companions, always waiting for you each day. Simple acts like feeding, playing, or petting not only help create routines, but also bring feelings of love and being needed. In addition, seeking out opportunities for social interaction, even on a small scale, can bring significant benefits. You don't need to join large groups or crowded events. Sometimes it's as simple as a short class at a local community center, a weekend group walk, or chatting with the familiar cashier at the grocery store. These brief yet regular interactions help significantly ease feelings of isolation. Technology is also an effective bridge. Many seniors today have grown comfortable with video calls via FaceTime or Zoom, or using social media to connect with children and friends. What matters most is not being afraid to learn, because technology was not created to replace connection, but to extend it. Loneliness is not an inevitable part of aging. It's something we can confront and gradually improve. Each small action, adopting a pet, calling an old friend, or simply smiling at a neighbor, is a way of bringing light into the quiet corners of life. And when you realize that you have the power to change how you feel, even while living alone, that's when you reclaim control over your life. In the next section, we'll dive into another very real aspect: how maintaining your beloved home can become a burden as your health changes, and how to navigate that challenge wisely. A home that was once a source of pride, a well-kept haven cared for every day, can gradually become a burden as age begins to leave its mark on the body. There's no shame in this. It simply means that things that once felt easy now become much harder. Have you ever felt your back ache while bending down to vacuum under a chair, or found yourself spending an entire morning just to clean a small room? Tasks like mowing the lawn, raking leaves, or fixing a leaky faucet, once completed in minutes, now require planning, rest breaks, and sometimes even giving up halfway due to exhaustion. In reality, when older adults live alone, home maintenance isn't just a physical issue, it becomes a mental burden too. The feeling of not being in control of your living space anymore can lead to fatigue, even shame. A home that once felt safe slowly becomes a source of anxiety. What if the water heater breaks down? What happens when the porch is covered in leaves? Who's going to help me shovel snow this winter? Most seniors hope to age in place, to stay in their own homes for as long as possible. But to make that possible, there needs to be practical solutions that reduce the burden of maintenance. One popular and effective option is hiring periodic help. Many local service companies offer house cleaning, lawn care, or small repair packages at affordable rates, especially if you sign up for monthly services. In addition, many areas have support programs for seniors through non-profits, community councils, or churches. They may provide services for free or at below-market rates. Another long-term solution is downsizing to a smaller, more manageable living space. Senior apartments, one-story homes, or shared senior living communities are becoming increasingly common. These options not only reduce the maintenance load, but also offer added benefits like security, basic healthcare access, and social connections. If you still want to stay in your current home, some simple modifications can make a big difference. Install non-slip flooring. Replace doorknobs with lever handles, use a robotic vacuum, or sign up for grocery delivery services. These small changes help you maintain control of your space without sacrificing your health. Most importantly, don't see asking for help as a sign of weakness. On the contrary, it's a sign of wisdom and self-respect. Choosing a way of living that fits your strength is how you protect your body, your mind, and your freedom. When you learn to care for your home more gently, you'll find your heart feels lighter too. A home shouldn't be a place where you feel defeated by age. It should be where you feel safe, embraced, and still in control of your life each day. Next, we'll explore something that may seem small, but holds great power. Daily habits. The invisible anchors that help those living alone maintain a steady rhythm in life. There are things so small we don't realize their power until life begins to change. When you live alone, with no one to remind you or share the familiar rhythms of daily life, it's the simple, everyday habits that become the anchor for your spirit. Have you ever felt a sense of emptiness in the morning, with no one to say good morning to, no sounds except the ticking of the clock? Moments like these can make the entire day ahead feel like an undefined void. That's why having a repeated routine becomes so important. Many studies have shown that maintaining regular habits increases a sense of stability, improves mood, and reduces anxiety in older adults. Even the most ordinary actions, making a cup of coffee, watering a few small plants, opening the window to let in sunlight, or taking a short walk around the block, can restore a sense of control over life. The special thing is, these habits don't have to be big or complicated. What matters is consistency and personalization. It has to be yours, something that fits you. Some people like to turn on the radio for morning news. Others enjoy reading a few pages of a book, lighting a scented candle, or jotting down thoughts in a journal. Creating rhythm throughout your day not only helps you plan more easily, but also sets up mental anchors, markers that prevent your days from feeling like they're drifting by meaninglessly. Your days stop blurring into one another because you have familiar, meaningful moments to look forward to. If you don't yet have clear routines, start with something simple. For example, set a consistent time for breakfast, go for a walk, call a loved one, or spend 10 minutes each evening writing down 3 things you're grateful for. Over time, these actions will form a kind of mental schedule, a framework that helps you stay balanced without needing external reminders. More importantly, when you have stable routines, you'll also be better able to recognize unusual changes in your mood or health. If one morning you don't feel like making your usual cup of coffee, it might be a subtle sign that you need rest or a conversation with someone. Habits not only keep life structured, but help you listen to yourself more clearly. Maintaining daily routines is how you build a backbone for life alone, where there's no spouse to make plans with, no children around to create a shared rhythm. And this self-created structure is perhaps the clearest expression of self-respect and inner strength. In the next section, we'll explore one of the most practical aspects of living alone: cooking. When it's just you sitting down at the table, how do you maintain the motivation and care for your own health? Not everyone enjoys cooking, and cooking for one is a very different experience. There's no one to share the meal with, no conversation around the table, no one waiting for you to serve the food, just you and a quiet kitchen. Have you ever found yourself opening the fridge, looking at a few simple ingredients, and then closing it again because you just weren't interested? Or making a pot of soup, only to grow tired of eating it again and again throughout the week? These feelings are very familiar to many people who live alone. When there's no one to cook with or cook for, stepping into the kitchen can start to feel like a chore rather than a joy. The truth is, when living alone, the motivation to eat well often erodes. According to the National Resource Center on Nutrition, older adults who live alone are at higher risk of malnutrition, not because food is unavailable, but because the interest and structure are missing. Skipping meals, grabbing fast food, or relying on frozen dinners becomes common. But that doesn't mean you have to settle for a bland or unhealthy diet. There are simple, gentle, and realistic ways to turn cooking for one into a comforting act of self-care. First, shift your perspective. Cooking isn't something you have to do. It's an opportunity to care for yourself. It's how you say to yourself, "I deserve to eat well, to eat enough, and to eat healthily." You don't need to prepare a full 3-course meal. Sometimes a warm bowl of soup, a fresh salad, or a perfectly fried egg is enough to nourish both your body and your spirit. Next, learn to cook in smaller batches. Instead of making too much and getting tired of it, you can prepare portions for 2 or 3 meals and store them in airtight containers. Dishes like vegetable soup, stews, fried rice, or pasta reheat well and still taste great. Using small appliances like a mini rice cooker, toaster oven, or personal pressure cooker also saves time and energy. If you're feeling uninspired, the internet is a treasure trove of recipes designed for one, from simple egg sandwiches to delicious meals ready in under 20 minutes. Try planning 3 to 5 easy meals for the week. Note the ingredients and make it part of your self-care routine. And finally, don't forget to make your mealtime pleasant. Set the table, use your favorite dishes, play some soft music, or watch a show you enjoy. Even if you're eating alone, you can still create a dining experience that feels good, because you deserve that. Cooking for one is not a sign of loneliness. It's a sign of independence. When you turn cooking into a nurturing ritual, you send yourself a powerful message. I matter. I am worthy of being well cared for, even if no one else is doing it for me. In the next section, we'll touch on a feeling that's uniquely tied to living alone: silence. It can be both a friend and a foe. And together, we'll explore how to make that silence a little more comforting each day. Silence, for many, was once something to be cherished. After a lifetime filled with noise, busy schedules, and constant responsibilities, there comes a point when you truly begin to appreciate mornings without alarm clocks and quiet afternoons without the roar of traffic. But when you live alone for a long time, you may begin to realize silence has two sides. Have you ever sat in your living room, hearing every tick of the clock, the soft whistle of the wind outside the window, only to realize you haven't heard another human voice all day? That silence can feel soothing, but at times, it can also make your heart tighten. It stops feeling like peace and starts to become an emptiness, one that allows the mind to wander toward loneliness and at times, unease. In today's world, where privacy is often valued, many older adults choose to live alone to maintain their freedom. But that doesn't mean we have to befriend absolute silence. Science has shown that gentle auditory stimulation, music, voices, familiar background sounds, can reduce stress, elevate mood, and even support memory. That's why, instead of letting your home fall into complete quiet, you can warm up your living space with just a few small changes. Start by turning on the radio or a talk station in the morning. Hearing a familiar voice share the news or tell everyday stories can make you feel like someone is there with you. Listening to soft music or podcasts is also a wonderful way to relax while staying mentally alert. It might be a classic jazz tune, a storytelling program, or a podcast about life, cooking, or health. Whatever suits your interests. The volume doesn't need to be high, just enough to create a soft backdrop for your home. Some people also enjoy replaying old recordings of loved ones or keeping the voices of grandchildren saved and ready to listen to during quiet moments. Today's technology makes it easy to capture and store these precious sounds, and it's a simple way to stay connected to family, even when no one is physically present. Silence can become a treasured companion if you learn how to manage it. Don't let it become a cold emptiness that surrounds you day after day. Fill it with the sounds of life, with the sounds you love, so your heart never forgets that you are still here and still feeling deeply. Your home should be a place that comforts you, not one that drowns you in silence. And with just a few small changes, you can turn your solitary moments into healing ones, a time when you're undisturbed but never forgotten. Silence is already present. You can choose to make it your friend by actively filling it with something meaningful. In the next section, we'll explore why staying physically active is so important when living alone and how to keep your body energized and moving every day. Living alone can bring a sense of freedom. No one rushing you, no interruptions, no need to hurry. But precisely because there's no one to pull you out of bed in the morning or invite you for an afternoon walk, physical movement slowly becomes something optional. And often that option doesn't come around very often. Have you ever gone a whole day without stepping outside, just shuffling a few steps between the kitchen and the living room? At first you might think, it's fine, I need to rest. But when those days repeat themselves, your body starts to tell a different story. Backaches, tingling legs, shallow breaths, restless sleep. Worse still is the unexplained fatigue, a heavy feeling that weighs on your spirit. Physical activity, even in its lightest form, is one of the most essential tools for maintaining overall health in older adults. According to the CDC, just 150 minutes of moderate activity per week, about 20 to 30 minutes per day, can lower the risk of heart disease, diabetes, cognitive decline, and depression. However, people living alone are often less active, lacking motivation, reminders, or a companion to move with. That's why staying active isn't just about physical well-being. It's also an act of emotional care. And you don't need a gym or expensive equipment to do it. Starting with what's accessible and realistic for your current lifestyle is the smart way to go. One of the easiest ways is to take a daily walk, even just around your home or down a nearby street. Wear comfortable shoes, choose a cool time of day, and make it part of your morning or afternoon routine. If the weather isn't ideal, walk indoors, go up and down stairs gently, or do light exercises in your living room. If you love nature, light gardening is a wonderful form of movement. Caring for plants, pulling weeds, watering the garden. Not only does it benefit the body, but it also brings a sense of peace to the mind. You can also join light fitness classes for seniors. Many are available for free or at low cost through local community centers, churches, or even online via YouTube. Chair yoga, tai chi, or gentle stretching don't require much strength, but are highly effective in improving flexibility and balance. What matters most is consistency, not how much, but how regularly. As your body gets used to moving, you'll notice a brighter mood, a better appetite, and deeper sleep. Movement, at its core, doesn't just nourish muscles, it nourishes life within you. When you choose to move, even if it's just a 10-minute walk, you send a message to yourself. I'm still walking. I'm still alive. And that, especially for someone living alone, means the world. In the next section, we'll explore something that's often overlooked, but deeply affects the spirit. How our sense of time changes when there's no one by our side to mark the days with us. When you're still working, when your children are around, or when you live with someone, time has clear markers. Monday starts with a meeting. Wednesday is grocery day. Weekends are for family visits or church. But when you live alone, especially after retirement, the boundaries between days begin to blur. That "what day is it today" feeling becomes more and more common. Have you ever had a week go by where you couldn't remember what you did on Tuesday, or felt like every day was so similar that you only looked at the clock to know whether it was morning or afternoon? Without a set schedule, without someone to share milestones with, time can begin to feel loose, sometimes even invisible. A distorted sense of time can lead to more than just missed appointments, skipped meals, or forgotten medication. It can affect your sense of purpose. A day without highlights can feel like it simply slipped away. And when many days feel like that, you may start to feel like you're merely existing, not truly living. Thankfully, this vague experience of time can be managed. You don't need a strict schedule like you had while working. You just need a few anchors, a few rhythmic activities to help your mind register and distinguish the days. One simple approach is to create a soft but steady weekly rhythm. For example, Monday is laundry day, Tuesday is for a longer walk, Wednesday is for calling a loved one, Thursday is movie night, Friday is for trying a new recipe. These light repetitions give each day a recognizable flavor you can anticipate. In addition, participating in scheduled activities is a great way to shape your sense of time. Tuesday morning fitness classes, Friday afternoon group sessions, or even a weekly Monday market visit. These become markers that make the week feel structured and meaningful. You can also keep a journal or wall calendar, not just to track tasks, but to mark what you've accomplished. That simple act of checking off the day gives a powerful psychological boost, affirming that your time is being well spent. If you have a personal hobby, like knitting, gardening, writing, or collecting, let it serve as your own timekeeper. When you pair each day with a specific action, the sense of rhythm and purpose begins to return, even without anyone else reminding you or waiting on you. The important thing is not to let time carry you aimlessly, but to be the one shaping your time. In doing so, you make each day more fulfilling and help your mind stay sharp and grounded in the present. In the next section, we'll explore one of the quiet but deeply emotional challenges of living alone: sorting through personal belongings. Because when every item carries a memory, how do you let go so your living space can feel lighter without losing what matters? Decluttering, on the surface, sounds simple. Just gather your things, tidy them up, and get rid of what you no longer use. But when you live alone, and every object in your home holds a memory, a loved one, a moment, decluttering becomes more than a physical task. It becomes an emotional journey. Have you ever picked up an old shirt and sat quietly for a few minutes because it once belonged to your late spouse? Or hesitated to throw away a birthday card from years ago because it contained the last handwritten message from someone who's no longer here? These seemingly small items, for someone living alone, are precious fragments that keep you connected to the past, and that's why tidying up often becomes easy to postpone. I'll do it next week. I'll get to it later. But over time, things pile up. Cabinets overflow with unused items, the floor lacks open space, and your home, rather than being a sanctuary, starts to feel like a quiet burden. Yet, it's absolutely possible to declutter without letting go of every memory. Tidy doesn't mean forgetting. In fact, it's a way to refresh your space while intentionally preserving what truly matters, with care and respect. Start small. Choose a drawer, a bookshelf, or a corner of a room. Ask yourself simple questions. Have I used this in the past 6 months? Does this bring me joy or a positive memory? If the answer is no, consider donating, selling, or discarding it. For emotionally significant items, take a photo before parting with them, or keep a representative piece instead of everything. For example, instead of keeping a whole box of old letters, select the 3 to 5 that mean the most to you and store them neatly. And if decluttering feels overwhelming, don't hesitate to ask for help. It could be a friend, a family member, or even a professional service. They can assist not only physically, but also emotionally, providing companionship and support during what can be a heavy process. Letting go of what no longer serves you in the present is a way to make space for new energy. You'll breathe easier, find things more quickly, and most importantly, live more freely each day. A tidy home reduces fall risks, improves mobility, and most of all, restores a sense of control, so you're not overrun by the past. Decluttering, when done with gratitude and intention, doesn't erase memories. It simply helps you keep the essence, so you can continue to live fully in the present. In the next section, we'll explore a reality that's easy to overlook. When you live alone, invitations to gather may become fewer, and it's more important than ever to take the lead in maintaining social connections. There's something no one tells you ahead of time. The older you get, the fewer invitations you receive, fewer phone calls to hang out, fewer lunch plans, fewer group outings. It's not because you're no longer loved. It's simply because life's pace pulls everyone in different directions. And slowly, people become busier and more distant. And if you live alone, that feeling becomes even more noticeable. Have you ever had a weekend that felt endless because there were no plans, no one checking in? Or scrolled through social media and saw friends gathering, going on picnics, celebrating birthdays, while you quietly sip tea alone. Moments like those can make someone living alone feel left behind, as if they're no longer part of the vibrant world outside. According to a study by the University of Michigan, feeling forgotten by society is one of the leading causes of depression in older adults. As social connections shrink, whether from the loss of loved ones, friends moving away, or children caught up in their own lives, waiting for others to reach out becomes a luxury few can afford. But instead of waiting to be remembered, the key is to be the one who initiates the connection. Whether it's a short message, a simple invitation, or an unexpected phone call, you have the power to rekindle relationships and even create new ones. You can invite close friends over for a meal, even if it's just afternoon tea. You might form a walking group in your neighborhood, or sign up for an art class, a cooking session, or yoga at the local community center. These regular activities not only keep you engaged with others, but also give you something to look forward to each week. Don't hesitate to create shared spaces. A small book club at home, a Zoom chat with distant relatives, or even writing handwritten letters to old friends. In the age of technology, social media can also be a gentle way to stay connected. Share a photo, leave a comment, or simply like someone's post. The core truth is this: you deserve to be part of relationships, not because someone invited you, but because you matter. And every time you reach out to someone, you're not only restoring a loose bond, but also affirming that you still belong to a community, no matter how big or small. No one else can maintain connections for you, but you can absolutely build new circles at any age. Being the one who reaches out doesn't make you weak. It makes you vibrant, warm, and more valuable than ever. In the next section, we'll touch on something deeply personal, yet entirely practical when living alone: how self-care can be easily neglected, and why dressing well for yourself is one of the kindest acts of self-love. No one tells you to wake up early. No one asks what's for breakfast or reminds you to take your medication. No one nudges you to change your clothes, go outside for a walk, or even run a comb through your hair. When you live alone, every responsibility for self-care rests entirely on you. Have you ever spent half the day in your pajamas, skipped breakfast out of laziness, or avoided the mirror because it didn't seem to matter? At first, it may feel like just a lazy day, but over time, these habits can spiral into a loop, a quiet erosion of self-worth, where you begin to feel undeserving of attention, even from yourself. The issue is this: when no one is watching, it's easy to think, why bother? But it's precisely in those small actions, wearing clean clothes, preparing a decent meal, putting on a bit of moisturizer, that we express love and care for ourselves. According to mental health experts, self-neglect is one of the early signs of depression in older adults. Losing motivation to maintain appearance, eat properly, or follow basic hygiene can lead to serious consequences for both physical and mental health. The solution begins with something very simple: creating small daily rituals of self-care. Nothing elaborate, just a glass of warm water in the morning, changing into fresh clothes, even if you're staying home, sitting down to eat instead of standing and rushing through a meal. These small routines send a gentle message: you are worthy of care, even when no one sees it. You can also plan weekly self-care moments, like scheduling an appointment with yourself. For example, trim your nails every Wednesday, call a friend every Friday, cook a special meal every Sunday, even if it's only for you. Scheduling gives your days structure and transforms these actions into something intentional and meaningful. Another important point: dress for yourself. It doesn't need to be expensive, just something that makes you feel comfortable, put together, and pleasant to look at when you pass a mirror. When you see a well-cared-for version of yourself, your mood shifts in a positive direction. If you find it difficult to stay motivated, talk to a loved one or a counselor. They may offer small, manageable steps to help restart your self-care habits, and sometimes all it takes is one kind word to make a real difference. Self-care is not a luxury. It's essential to preserving your sense of value, your image as someone responsible, lovable, and always deserving of kindness, even on the loneliest days. When you look in the mirror and see someone who still takes the time to care, you'll know you're not just surviving, you're truly living. Thank you for staying with me until the end of this video. Your presence, even quietly behind a screen, is the very reason we feel inspired to share, to accompany, and to spread kindness and sincerity. Together, we've explored many honest and practical aspects of living alone in later life. From the quiet challenges of loneliness and emergency situations to the seemingly small things like cooking for one, keeping the house tidy, or maintaining rhythm through simple daily routines. And I hope that somewhere along the way, you saw a reflection of yourself and found a few gentle suggestions to help make each day a little lighter. Now I invite you to pause for a moment and ask yourself, what did I learn from this message? Where do I want to begin? Maybe it's as simple as keeping your phone beside you when you sleep. Maybe it's calling an old friend. Or maybe it's just standing up and taking a 5-minute walk around the house after this video ends. If you found value in what was shared, please send it to someone, a friend who may also be living alone, someone who needs to hear that they are not alone. Share it, hit like, or leave a comment. These small actions don't just spread the message, they help build a more connected, compassionate community. And if you'd like to continue receiving content like this, kind stories, practical advice, and gentle inspiration, stay in touch with us. The journey of living alone doesn't have to be a lonely one. You are never too old to start loving yourself more. You are never too late to choose a meaningful life. Starting today in the smallest of ways.